Thank you so much for sticking with Youth Pod, and we are at the tail end of this conversation. You can keep talking to us through our social media handles at CACTV_Kenya, Twitter and Facebook, CACTV. Ken?
Yes.
Let's talk about social media. Does social media play any critical role in promoting self-esteem or killing self-esteem?
I think social media does both. It promotes and kills. And let me start from the aspect of social media killing low self-esteem. It's because nowadays social media is a platform whereby you can get all manner of information. Supposedly, I'm an individual that's suffering from low self-esteem. There are motivational speakers on Facebook, YouTube, all social media platforms that can actually identify with what I'm going through.
You're also a devotional speaker there.
Yes, I'm also there. I'm also part of that by the grace of God. So there are people who can actually help you identify with your story, identify with what you're going through, and help you become a better version of yourself. So that's how social media can kill. That's how social media can actually kill the issue of low self-esteem. And the bigger percentage, I'd say this is like 70%. The promotion is, the killing bit is 30%, but the other part is 70%. Social media does more harm than good when it comes to dealing with the issue of self-esteem. Because self-esteem is your perception about yourself. In social media, your perception about yourself is challenged because you see people displaying lifestyles that probably you expect rather to have lived, you know. There is who you are and there is where you want to be. So self-esteem comes somewhere in between. Probably peers that you studied with in kindergarten and all, you might study and look at their lives in social media. They are living luxurious lives, you know, and you in yourself probably you're struggling. So using, comparing and contrasting, it ends up bringing issues of low self-esteem. You know, social media has done more harm than good. You know, nowadays social media exposes people to vulnerabilities. We've heard of Facebook relationships and all that end up in disastrous ways, sexual abuse, you know. And I came to realize, by the way, even sex in itself, yeah, it's nowadays it is used as a tool to fill some kind of void. People don't do it because it's no longer a matter of what you feel or anything, because we are all created with a void in our heart, a void in our heart to be loved. Now, this void can only be satisfied by God himself. Now, when we don't receive that void, we end up filling it with so many other things in the name of trying to boost our esteem. You know, we are living in a generation whereby purity is a ridicule nowadays. Nowadays it is immoral to be moral, you know, because you've actually stood out. And these things are being promoted on social media. Upon the autonomous, everybody is doing it. Everybody is doing this and that. So it ends up doing more harm than good to an individual. Yeah.
So to what extent do your own beliefs about your own worth matter, regardless of the underlying reality? Do we justify self-esteem? When do we justify self-esteem? Is self-esteem justified rather?
I think the reality of my self-worth should matter in all areas rather of my life. Because once I understand my self-worth, nothing that is done by anybody around me can actually damage that self-worth. Understanding who I am, understanding my strengths and weaknesses, embracing them. For instance, working on my weaknesses, sharpening my strengths. Once I understand my self-worth as an individual, I believe it becomes a good place for me to start. Not using my failures rather to justify anything but I think understanding your self-worth is key. Is key in actually thriving in every area of your life. Every area of your life, be it in terms of your career, education, like we had actually mentioned earlier. Yeah.
So when is it wiser to criticize yourself?
When is it wiser to criticize myself? Wow. I think it's wiser to criticize myself because I like saying there are three people you can't lie to. That is God, the devil, and yourself. It is wise to criticize yourself when you realize that you are not living up to the expectations that you've set for yourselves, and as a believer, living up to the expectations that the Bible has actually set for you. That is when it is wise to actually criticize yourself. And in achieving this, rather, that would mean that you don't surround yourself with people that are comfortable with their mistakes, people that are comfortable with their state of not being okay. Because when you surround yourself with people that are comfortable with where they are, you can never move forward. For instance, like a good example, in high school, maybe at one point of your time in high school, you failed mathematics and got an E. You know, that's an uncomfortable place. But the minute you realize your friends, you have like 20 other friends who got E's, and you start consoling yourself with them, you know, maze tuko wengi. You'll become comfortable and you'll actually never move forward. So the best place to actually look at your life and criticize yourself, rather, is during your point of shortcomings, when you have not lived up to the expectations that you've set. Because I believe every human being has their expectations. And we are living in a point in time whereby the truth is, we all know the truth. We know when this is right, this is wrong. You know, the Bible said that a time is coming when the Bible will be written in the hearts of men. So as an individual, you know whether this is right or whether this is wrong. So the minute you find yourself living contrary to the expectations and the desires and the achievements that you want to achieve as an individual, that's the best place to start criticizing yourself.
So can self-esteem be overcome, and how?
Yes, self-esteem can be overcome. One, it can be overcome by, let me say, strengthening your weaknesses. Don't glory in the criticism that you receive from people that is not aimed towards building you. For instance, if I know I have a weakness in a specific area in my life, I need to work on it as an individual, perfect it, so that anytime people attack me concerning that issue, I will not be moved. I will not be moved as an individual because I know I have done my best. Believing in yourself. Another thing that can actually help is living a lifestyle of integrity. And I'd like to say that integrity is who you are, you know, when no one else is around. You know, that person that integrity rather is doing what you ought to do, not what you want to do. And this can actually really help you boost your esteem, because let me give a practical example, especially for believers. If we are seated in a circle, like a circle of 20 people, and one person stands up, maybe in a church setup, one person stands up, and let's say this person is an alcoholic in secret, a praise and worship meeting. One guy stands up to speak. This guy is an alcoholic in secret. The minute this person stands up to speak and people start looking at him, automatically there are questions that will start raising up in his mind. You know, atanza kuona it's like people are judging him. You know, kwani watu wanafikiria nini? Ule vile ameniangalia, kwani anajua story yangu. You know, and this person, and ironically, looking at the flip side, if a person stands up, the same circle, and this person is not an alcoholic, this person lives a blameless life, their esteem will not be affected. When that person stands up to speak, their esteem will not be affected, because they are living a lifestyle of integrity, because they are living a lifestyle that is truthful. They are answerable to any person. They won't even be moved by gossips and rumors, because what they are actually living is a life that is worth emulating. Another thing that we can actually do is strengthening our weaknesses. The areas that we are not good at, we sharpen them. it gives us a sense of accomplishment as a human being. You know, once you fail, and human beings, we are emotional beings. Once we fail once, twice, thrice, there's a part of us that gets crushed. But once you challenge yourself to keep going, to keep moving, there's a sense of fulfillment that is very helpful for each and every person. And that is why even parents should emulate that when they are bringing up their children. They should encourage their children not to be set down by failures. Encourage them to keep going. Keep going, daddy, keep going, you know. It speaks volumes, and it ends up actually making this individual grow into a respectable person. Another way, probably last but not least, that we can use to build our esteem, what I had mentioned earlier. Surrounding yourself with people that can actually challenge you, not people that make you feel comfortable with where you are. Ati umepata usijali, tuko wengi. No, you need people that will tell you, this is not the way to go, you know? And people that will not only criticize, but critique you. You know, a criticism it can be 100% negative, but critiquing somebody is actually criticizing to change, to correct, with a lot of love, you know? So you need to surround yourself with such people that challenge you. And then and only then can we overcome these issues of self-esteem. And alongside that, to summarize all that, of course it has to come from understanding that you are not defined by what people say you're defined with. You are not defined by the comments of people. You are not defined by what you have gone through. You are not defined by where you want to be, but you're not yet there. You are actually defined by like the example of scripture. When God tells Jeremiah, I know the plans I have for you, you are defined by what God says you are, but rather not by what your environment defines you to be. It is God that actually defines you. Once you understand that, your esteem can never be moved, your esteem can never be shaken, even when the whole world is against you. Understanding that can really help a lot.
So high self-esteem is generally desirable. Might it be best earned as a byproduct of other achievement and personal qualities, or rather even more chasing for, or rather attained as a direct pursuit?
High self-esteem, I think it's attained by personal successes, and as much as it's not the case in many times, even validation from other people can give you high self-esteem. You know, when people tell you, Francis, you're good at this, hey, the way you do this thing, as much as you should not seek your validation from other people, their opinion and their comments towards you, they tend to actually boost your esteem. That's why we said parents should raise their children rightly, because the opinion of somebody that knows you, somebody that appreciates you, it actually speaks volumes. So I think it's generally generated from that, you know, the remarks that we get from people, as much as there's the negative side of it. Yes.
So what positive habits do I need to develop as a young person to improve my self-esteem?
I think it's, first of all, believing in yourself. That is a habit in itself. A habit is something that you strive to do each and every single day. A habit is something that you endeavor to do, come rain or shine, whether you feel like it or not. So believing in yourself should be a daily thing, a daily routine. Speaking good, I've heard even people who actually say, look at yourself in the mirror and speak good things about you.
You've talked about mirror here. Does mirror work?
The mirror technique.
Yeah. Does it work?
People are different. I tend to believe people are different, but
has it ever worked to you?
I've never tried that personally, but I don't walk by sight. I speak to myself. It's life should be more of inside out, not outside in. I am not built by the things that come from outside, but rather the things that actually come from inside. But I've heard people say that, and I know it works. Because you are declaring things about yourself. You know, you're great, you're not a failure, you're the head and not the tail. It plays an important role in that. You know, just speaking good things about yourself, believing in yourself. You know, as a human being, you have nothing to offer. It's funny that you can only give what you have. You can't give what you want. You know, I might love somebody and I want to give them love. But if I don't have that love inside of me, I can't give them what I have. I can only give them what? I can't give them what I don't have. I can only give them what I have. If I don't have 100 shillings in my, 1,000 shillings, let me use that figure. If I don't have 1,000 shillings in my pocket, I can't give it to you. As much as I respect you, as much as I'd like to come through for you. So it's very important for you to understand that you should first of all believe in yourself, because you only channel what is actually inside of you. So that is very critical in overcoming self-esteem. And understanding that you are not even defined by where you want to be, especially for young people. Unaweza kuwa umejiwekea standards, you know, by the time I'm 23, I need to be having a car. You know those dreams that people have. Sure. Nafaa nikuwe na gari, naingia kwa nyumba, there's a 82-inch flat screen TV on my wall, not even on the, so it's on my wall. Naingia natupa funguo za gari. Even though you don't achieve those standards that you've set for yourself, understand that is not what defines you. So it comes from personal identity, understanding who you are. I can speak and speak, but all these things that I would have said are summarized in the box of identity. Understanding your true identity. That's why I like saying you need to meet yourself. You know, many people are defined by what people say they are. They don't even know themselves. Unaulizwa, we ni nani? If I ask yourself, who are you? You know, it's a very deep question that many people lack answers for. So it's very important for everybody to learn to meet themselves. Yes.
So is there a specific gender that is highly affected by self-esteem?
I think it's balanced. I think it's balanced depending on the area that you touch on. For instance, for men, I've heard that when it comes to men, they are majorly affected. You know, men were actually created to, they were configured. It's our configuration to provide. You know, we were created as providers. So the minute a man does not achieve that function of actually providing, automatically the esteem is broken. Depending on where, women on the other hand, you know, the minute you touch on sensitive areas of their lives, they tend to be affected, the esteem affected. Probably mwambie wesi, you are not beautiful. You know, no matter how you try to fashion it, that you are beautiful differently and all. No, the minute you just attack on a person's on a person's specific area, it varies. It has no self-esteem, has no respect to gender, according to me. It varies depending on what is actually being attacked, what is actually being addressed. So it's actually equal when it comes to men and women. Yeah, it's just that some people might not show it openly. Some people may act out strongly. And that is why people actually cyberbullying. Some of these people are actually hiding from the reality of the things, like the WhatsApp groups that you can have a WhatsApp group that anytime an admin is challenged by members of the group, the admin results by kicking this person outside. You know, what you might not know is that probably they're dealing with self-esteem issues. The group gives them a sense of superiority and authority. And once that authority is challenged, they feel, I can't take this anymore. That's why, yeah. So that is why many things, even the memes that are made outside there, you know, at the expense of other people's esteem, they're just out to heal this void that is actually in their hearts. You know, there are many people who actually, for instance, awase wanapendanga kuenjoy watu. You know, there are people who are full of jokes 24/7, kuenjoy watu. People actually use that as a defense mechanism, because probably in their bringing, walikuwa wamezoea kuenjoyiwa. So the minute they get a platform to get an audience that is actually inferior, wanatumia hiyo kama a way of actually building up their esteem at the expense of bringing other people down. Remember, you don't go up by bringing other people down. So it's a very sensitive and delicate matter that needs to be treated with a lot of respect and regard, because we are human beings and we are spiritual beings. Yes.
So as we wind up, what's a parting shot? Can use this camera.
My parting shot to everyone that is watching is this. Self-esteem, it is actually as a byproduct of not understanding your identity. Your identity, once you know who you are, but rather not what people think you are, not what people say you are. Once you understand who you really are, it becomes very difficult for your esteem to be shaken. And I will conclude by using an example of scripture. You know, in Judges, the Bible tells us about this man called Gideon. And Gideon was hiding from the Philistines. He was broken, you know, alikuwa lose morale and all. And the Bible tells us the angel of the Lord appeared and said, "Mighty man of valor, stand up." Meaning that every time heaven shows up to define our identity. So understand that you are not what you think even. You are not what you think, you are not what people think you are, who God says you are. So understand that, and it will be very, very important for you as an individual. You will not be moved by either negative or positive self-esteem. And for those that think that probably they are not suffering from self-esteem, understand that it can be a platform for pride to creep in. So it's important for you to understand that you need to bridge that gap, you know, and incorporate humility, and it shall be well with each and every one of you. So understand who you are and whose you are, and it shall be well.
All right, thank you so much, Mr. Ken, for such a thoughtful session. Always remember what lies behind us and what lies before us are tiny matters compared to what lies within us. My name is Francis Ngala. See you next time.